What if the moment you changed your internal dialogue, the world couldn't help but fall at your feet? What if you were the one they couldn't stop chasing, simply because you dared to feel it real? First, there was a time, not very long ago, when I felt invisible. I'd walk into a room and no one would turn. I'd speak and the echo was louder than the response. But instead of pleading for attention, I went within. I decided to conduct a personal experiment, what I call a rampage. I sat alone in my small apartment in New York and imagined a version of myself so magnetic, so absolutely captivating, that people couldn't ignore me. I saw eyes light up as I entered. I felt the heat of admiration. I walked as though the world was mine. I repeated this state night after night. Within days, without changing my clothes, without altering my words, everything shifted. Invitations arrived, doors opened, and yes, they began to chase. Now, I'll show you how. There is no power greater than assumption. The assumption of a thing is the very seed of its manifestation. When you assume that you are magnetic, you are not hoping to become so, you are claiming it as fact. This is not wishful thinking, but a spiritual law in operation. You see, the external world is not moved by effort, by pleading, or even by action, unless it is supported by inner conviction. The world, rather, responds faithfully and obediently to the state of consciousness from which you operate. When I say to assume that you are magnetic, I am asking you to occupy a state of being where attention is drawn to you naturally. Imagine yourself as already being the one who is noticed, admired, desired. What would it feel like to know that everywhere you go, eyes follow, minds linger on your presence, and hearts beat faster because you have entered the room? That state is not a fantasy, it is a possibility, and more importantly, it is available now. You do not become magnetic by wishing people liked you. You do not attract attention by strategizing your words or perfecting your looks. You do so by feeling yourself to be magnetic. The moment you claim, I am the one they desire, something stirs in the unseen. Something aligns. The particles rearrange themselves in obedience to the inner words spoken in silence. What you assume to be true of yourself becomes your experience. This is not philosophy, it is practice. Let's say you feel ignored. You walk into a space and people look past you, or no one seems to notice your presence. You could react with anger, bitterness, or self-pity. But you must remember, the world only mirrors what you assume. So instead of reacting to what appears, you must assume the opposite of what is visible. Not because you are deluded, but because you understand the principle. The seen world is the shadow of the unseen belief. Start now. Close your eyes and see yourself as the most magnetic person in any room. Don't imagine others chasing you. First, become the version of you that is chased. What are they drawn to? Your energy, your silence, your peace, your power. You don't imagine manipulation, you don't imagine control, you imagine a self who is whole, radiant, confident, and therefore attractive. From that inner picture, a new outer experience is born. You may say, but no one has ever looked at me that way. No one has ever pursued me. Then I say to you, have you ever assumed that you were worth pursuing? Have you ever felt the feeling of being loved, not by another, but by yourself, so deeply that the universe could not help but respond with mirrors of that same love? You see, it begins with your own assumption, and the world will follow. When you hold within you the assumption of being magnetic, you no longer wait. You no longer search, you no longer chase, because you understand that attraction is a law, not a performance. The flowers do not bloom to attract, they bloom because it is their nature, and in blooming the bees arrive. So too, when you dwell in the state of I am magnetic, others feel drawn to you, not because you try to pull them, but because you radiate. Now observe your inner talk. Are you saying to yourself, they don't notice me, or I am always overlooked? These are also assumptions, and the world, being faithful to your word, will echo them back. But if you wake tomorrow and declare silently in your mind, "Today I am the one they feel drawn to," and you hold that thought, not with strain, but with certainty, you will begin to see the edges of your world shift. Walk into a room and imagine the feeling of being the one who captivates. Not through arrogance, not through ego, but through the quiet power of presence. Feel the essence of what it means to be wanted. Sit in that feeling long enough and your posture will change. Your voice will deepen with calm. Your steps will carry rhythm. You will not force attention. You will command it without a word. No one outside you needs to agree. No one must confirm your worth. You don't need a mirror to tell you that you shine. The moment you know it inwardly, the outer world will have no choice but to reflect it. Now you may say, "But how can I feel magnetic when no one shows me attention?" And again, I tell you, the feeling must come first. It is not a reward for attention. It is the cause of it. Feel yourself glowing. Feel your aura expanding. Even if the world seems unmoved, you persist in the unseen until the seen bows to it. And it will. Every relationship, every encounter, every conversation will begin to feel different, not because others have changed, but because you have. You are now speaking, walking, living from a state of being magnetic. This state is self-sustained. It doesn't flicker with the opinions of others. It is anchored in your assumption. You do not need to chase anyone. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to assume the position of one who is already chosen, already admired, already seen. The rampage begins not in chaos, but in decision. The decision to abandon the old self-concept of lack, of invisibility, of rejection, and to inhabit the new man who is irresistible because he is complete. You must let go of your history. Let go of who you think you've been. Begin now to feel into who you really are when you're not doubting, when you're not pleading, when you're not pretending to be smaller. Feel into the version of you who knows deeply and quietly that they are magnetic. This is the new assumption. And as you live from it, the world begins to shift its gaze, not by force, not by coincidence, but by law. There is a moment when words stop being mere sounds and become creative acts. That moment is when you speak not to describe reality, but to create it. What many misunderstand is that a rampage is not a tantrum thrown into the void. It is a sustained inner declaration of what you are, carried out with boldness and belief. A rampage is not for others to hear, but for your own inner ear to obey. It is a relentless mental momentum built upon assumption that overrides what is and replaces it with what you have claimed to be real. Will you begin the rampage? You are not reacting to what the world has shown you. You are choosing to plant something entirely new within consciousness. You are no longer asking for validation. You are stating the law. You are affirming a new order, and in doing so, you are constructing the foundation of your new experience. The rampage is not spoken once or twice. It is repeated internally until the vibration shifts, until the emotion changes, until the feeling becomes so real that it is indistinguishable from fact. This is not a game of willpower. This is a surrender to the new identity. You are not trying to convince anyone, not even yourself. You are choosing deliberately and freely to enter a new dimension of self. I am desired. I am chaste. I am the one they cannot resist. These are not affirmations you try to believe. These are truths you decide to live from. Your inner world must become intoxicated with this idea until it spills into your outer circumstances. You are not waiting for a sign. You are becoming the sign. You are not watching for others to notice you. You are vibrating at the frequency where they must respond. Why? Because consciousness is contagious. When you feel yourself to be the center of attention, not boastfully, but quietly, with certainty, those around you begin to feel your presence more deeply. Not because you impose it, but because you embody it. Let the rampage begin, not with desperation, but with delight. Declare your new reality like a poet, like a king, like a master craftsman building a world with every syllable. Say within yourself, they long for my presence. Say it not from ego, but from the truth that you carry something only you can offer. Let it build in intensity. They remember me when I'm gone. They dream of me in silence. I am unforgettable, and feel it. Not mechanically, but vibrationally. Let it stir your body, your chest, your breath. You do not need to shout. The quietest thought, when believed, is more powerful than 1,000 screams. A rampage is not noise, it is alignment. It is a sacred storm that clears out the debris of doubt and replaces it with clarity, with identity, with power. Do not fear being delusional. What they call delusion, the awakened man calls creation. You are not escaping reality, you are choosing it. Observe how your state begins to shift as you persist. What once felt awkward begins to feel natural. The resistance dies, and in its place comes peace. The truth is, the rampage isn't for others. It's for you. It's the renewing of your mind, the baptism of your assumptions, the cleansing of what no longer serves you. You repeat these truths not to beg life to change, but to command your world to conform. They'll chase you, not because you followed a script, but because your vibration summoned them. This is not about strategy or technique. This is about certainty. Your certainty will do more to attract others than your appearance, your words, or your actions. What they feel is your self-concept. They feel your assumption as if it were their own. This is why you must repeat the rampage, not with effort, but with surrender to the feeling that it is already done. Repeat it in the morning, whisper it while walking, affirm it while bathing, while cooking, while lying in bed. They can't get enough of me. I am the one they think about. My presence lingers in their soul. You do not speak it once and forget. You speak it until it becomes silent, until it speaks itself, until it has become your dominant vibration. This is not a technique to manipulate others. It is a practice of returning home to your original power, the power that says you are the creator of your world and that others are mirrors reflecting your own image back to you. If you see yourself as wanted, you will be. If you feel yourself to be irresistible, others will agree, without knowing why. You are not looking for proof. You are creating the proof. The rampage bursted. When doubt arises, return to the rampage. Let it be your refuge. Let it be your weapon. Let it be your compass when the external begins to wobble. You are not reacting to the world anymore. You are declaring yourself as the new world. And this declaration will not be denied. This is your spiritual riot. This is your silent revolution. This is the fire that burns away the old self and gives rise to the new. Say it louder in your mind. Say it with joy. Say it with force. Say it until the echo becomes your atmosphere. I am magnetic. I am pursued. I am known. This is the beginning of your reign. The rampage is not an accident. It is the origin of everything that will follow. Your entire environment will begin to bend, not in resistance, but in obedience to the new tone you set within. You are no longer the one hoping to be chosen. You are the one who assumes it, who feels it, and who walks in it. And because of that, they'll chase you, not because of who you used to be, but because of what you have finally remembered. You have remembered who you are, and now nothing can stay the same. Time, as you have been taught, is not your master, it is your servant. It bends, stretches, compresses, and collapses according to the rhythm of your belief. The world says wait, but consciousness says now. When you believe something must take years, it obliges you. When you believe something is already done, it hastens, not because you forced it, but because you remove the interval between desire and fulfillment. This removal is not done by action, but by assumption. You must believe so intensely in your present identity that time is rendered irrelevant. Most people are prisoners of delay. They live always in the future, hoping for change, waiting for confirmation. delaying their own satisfaction because they believe reality needs more time to cooperate. But all time is only a measure of consciousness. It is not a conveyor belt that brings things to you. It is a mirror that reflects how fast you're willing to feel the end as real. The only moment that ever creates is now. When you say one day I'll be magnetic, you are declaring distance between you and the state you desire. That distance is not physical, it is psychological. And until you close it, the state remains unreal. You cannot be chased someday. You must feel it now. You must live as if the desire is already fulfilled. You must enter the scene inwardly, where everything is already true. Collapsing time is collapsing doubt. Doubt stretches your manifestation across endless miles of thought. Faith collapses that stretch into a single step. That step is identity. The moment you become the one who has it, time folds, space disappears, and fulfillment begins to press itself into your experience. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself as already living from the end, your senses may resist. The mind may say, but I don't see it. That is because you are still trained to trust appearances. But the invisible is the parent of the visible. That which you do not yet see is more real than what is seen, because it is unfolding. Just as the seed carries within it the tree, your assumption carries within it the outcome. To collapse time is to accept that the seed is already the forest. So what does it mean to live from the end? It means to carry yourself in thought, word, and feeling as though the desire were no longer a desire, but a memory. It is to rehearse not how to get it, but how it feels once received. It is to wake up and smile, not because the outer has shifted, but because you have. And when you shift, the world moves with you. It has no choice. I remember once collapsing time for something I was told would take months. I desired to be in a place far from where I stood. Logically, there were no means. Physically, there was no access. But I knew the law. I went to bed each night as if I had already arrived. I breathed the air of that new location in imagination. I felt the breeze on my skin. I walked its streets in consciousness. I returned to it daily, not hoping, but dwelling. And then it happened. Without my effort, without my planning, the opportunity came. The conditions reorganized themselves. And suddenly, I was there. It took days, not because the world sped up, but because I had stopped slowing it down with doubt. Time is not fixed. It responds to the inner pace of your conviction. If you believe love takes years, then it will. If you believe they must first ignore you before noticing, they will. But if you believe that your presence is so magnetic, so radiant, so unforgettable that they already feel it, time compresses. The need for steps vanishes. The unfolding becomes immediate. You were taught that there are processes, that you must earn it, that everything worthwhile takes time. But this is only true for the one who believes it. You are not here to obey time. You are here to master it. And mastery begins with assumption. The assumption that it is already yours collapses all waiting. Feel now what you would feel if they were already chasing you. Let your stomach flutter. Let your heart pound. Let your chest rise. The emotion is the bridge. It is not imagination that creates. It is felt imagination. The sensation is the signature that marks the unseen as real. It is the signal that tells the subconscious, this is now. When you live from the state of I am already there, you enter a new kind of being, one that does not ask or beg, one that does not react or wait, but one that stands still in knowing. And the knowing, though invisible, becomes a magnet. It pulls events, people, and places toward it, not because it is loud, but because it is aligned. The man who collapses time is the man who no longer argues with delay. He knows there is no delay in consciousness. The only delay is the time it takes to accept this truth. The moment you surrender to it, you collapse the gap. You bring tomorrow into today. You walk in the feeling of the future as though it were the present. And then it is. You must understand that the universe does not move in years or months. It moves in vibration. And your vibration is determined by your assumption. Assume it is far, and it will remain far. Assume it is here, and you collapse the space between thought and thing. Do not concern yourself with how. The how belongs to the unseen forces that respond to your belief. Your role is not to map out the process. Your role is to become the person for whom it is already done. And once you are that person in consciousness, the outer world will conform. Every time you speak of your desire as though it is waiting, you push it further. Every time you speak of it as complete, you draw it near. This is why the words you say to yourself are sacred. They are not commentary. They are creative acts. They either compress or stretch your reality. Speak now, act now, think now, as though they already desire you, as though the attention is already yours, not because you see it yet, but because you know the law. And when you know, you do not wait, you rest. And in that rest, time ceases to matter. Time is not a barrier. It is a construct of mind, a shadow of assumption cast across the mirror of experience. You are not subject to it as a servant is to a master. Time is your instrument, malleable, obedient, and quick to follow your inner state. The moment you cease believing that time must pass before fulfillment, time begins to collapse. You are no longer a creature moving helplessly through time. You become the cause that folds it inward. The illusion of delay is born from the belief that something must change externally before you can feel differently within. That is the great error. The truth is reversed. When you feel the change within, the outer must follow. So long as you continue to place your wish in the future, it stays there, always just out of reach. You say soon, and so it waits. You say one day, and it delays. But the moment you dare to say now, even without outer confirmation, the law begins to move. Do not ask the question, when will they come? For this question betrays the feeling that they are not already with you. Every time you wonder about timing, you are unknowingly reaffirming separation. But if you speak from the end, if you say within yourself, they already feel me, they are thinking of me right now, they are searching for me without knowing why, then you draw the end into the present. You collapse time, not by effort, but by identity. To collapse time is to rise into the state where what you desire is no longer hoped for but remembered. It is no longer a distant possibility, but an experienced certainty. You move differently in this state. You speak from fullness, not from lack. You radiate quiet power because you no longer seek. You no longer hope, you know. And the world, always reflecting, begins to arrange itself around your knowing. I have watched this happen again and again, not by force, but by silence, not by begging, but by being. The shortest distance between desire and fulfillment is belief. Not the belief that waits, but the belief that is. To believe you are already who you want to be. This is the golden key. The one who waits is lost in time. The one who assumes is already there. You need not worry about how long it will take. That is not your concern. Your concern is only to dwell in the end. If you can feel that you already are the one they admire, the one they chase, the one they remember, then that reality begins to echo into your world. It echoes through glances, through messages, through chance meetings. Because you did not wait for it, you became it. This feeling of already being, this is what bends time. It condenses the unfolding of events and removes the long hallway between cause and effect. The world begins to take shortcuts to meet your assumption. Circumstances reshuffle. People change their minds. Delays dissolve. This is not magic, it is law. And yet many hesitate. They say, but I can't pretend. It feels false. And I say, then you have misunderstood. This is not pretending, This is choosing. You are not faking. You are selecting the reality you wish to occupy. And because the world is a mirror, it must reflect what you hold consistently. When you live in the feeling that you are already the one they desire, your energy becomes potent. It vibrates with completion, and this vibration is irresistible. They do not know why they are drawn to you. They simply are. They do not know what changed, only that you now pull them in. Because the one who assumes does not chase. The one who assumes does not explain. The one who assumes simply walks in their reality, and others adjust. The outer world is slow because the inner world is uncertain. But if you can stand still in the certainty that what you want is already yours, you accelerate the process. The pace of manifestation is tied directly to the clarity of your assumption. If you entertain doubt, time expands. If you remain in knowing, time folds. When you say, "They'll chase me after this," don't place that moment in the future. Make it present. Make it active. Let your tone carry the certainty of they already are. Let your posture, your breath, your inner dialogue all flow from the awareness that it is done. And soon, you will find yourself living the scene you once only rehearsed. This is why you must persist, not because reality is stubborn, but because your assumption must become natural. When the feeling of being chased feels more real than the memory of being ignored, then you will see the change. It will happen so naturally that you may forget you even desired it. You will walk into the moment not as a witness, but as its author. And so, practice daily the art of collapsing time. Each time you feel tempted to wait, return to the end. Reaffirm, not with effort, but with ease. I am the one they want. Not tomorrow, not when I change, not when they notice, now. The more you do this, the more the old reality loses its grip. The more you feel it, the more it becomes. Let each moment be a portal to the end, not a step toward it, but the end itself. Breathe as that version of you. Dress as them, speak as them. Sit in stillness and feel their presence drawn to you. Let your imagination become so saturated with the feeling of completion that time is no longer relevant. Let the world catch up to what you already are, and it will. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. This statement, though simple, contains the entire mechanism of transformation. Your aura is not something mystical or external. It is the vibrational signal of your self-concept. It is the living broadcast of your inner assumptions. The world responds to your aura, not because it sees it, but because it feels it. People do not consciously detect your inner state, but they behave toward you as if they do, because everything is energy, and energy speaks without sound. Your aura is not some passive glow. It is an active field of conviction. If you believe yourself to be magnetic, then your energy will declare it long before your words ever reach a room. If you feel invisible, your aura will reflect that absence. The question is never what others think of you. The question is always, what are you thinking of yourself? For that thought is the signal being broadcast every moment, and the world must obey it. There was a time I entered rooms and wondered if I'd be noticed. I hoped to be received. I thought perhaps if I spoke well or looked a certain way, I would earn their attention. But I learned that no word, no gesture, no effort can compensate for an aura that is not aligned with the assumption of worth. People were not responding to my appearance or my tone. They were responding to the invisible climate around me. That climate was the result of my thoughts. And those thoughts were carrying vibrations far louder than my voice ever could. You see, every time you affirm, I am magnetic, I am desired, I am unforgettable, you are not trying to convince others. You are fine-tuning your signal. You are broadcasting a new frequency. And that frequency is not separate from reality, it creates reality. The person who feels unworthy and tries to gain attention will only attract more circumstances that reflect their unworthiness. But the one who assumes they are already desired, without evidence, emits a frequency so clear that others unconsciously align with it. This is the essence of being magnetic. It is not your hairstyle, it is not your words, it is not your posture, it is your state. Your energetic alignment determines whether people feel safe around you, drawn to you, fascinated by you. When you align with the truth that your presence is a gift, you walk differently, you speak differently, not because you're trying, but because you are being. And that being radiates. You may say, but I still feel ignored. I still feel like no one notices me. Then I say, stop observing and start broadcasting. Stop measuring reality by what you see and begin influencing it by what you assume. The outer reflects the inner with precision. If your energy is cloudy with self-doubt, you will find others uncertain around you. But if your energy is calm, certain, full of silent knowing, then others will naturally turn toward you, not out of logic, but resonance. The moment you stop trying to chase love and instead begin radiating love for yourself, your aura begins to expand. It fills the room before you do. People begin to feel your presence without understanding why, because energy precedes explanation. The subconscious minds of others are attuned to vibration. They are always picking up what your conscious mind is unaware of. This is why it is essential that you no longer attempt to be seen. You must know you already are. Energetic alignment is not about performance. It is about coherence. When your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are in harmony, the energy field around you becomes stable, powerful, and magnetic. This stability draws people to you effortlessly, and they may say, there's something about you, though they cannot name it. That something is your self-concept made visible through frequency. Imagine yourself standing in a room where no one knows you. Now imagine you're holding within your chest a clear, burning certainty. They want to know me. They admire me. They crave my energy. You say nothing. You do nothing. And yet you begin to notice eyes shift toward you. Bodies lean slightly in your direction. Conversations opening to include you. You did not act. You simply broadcasted. And the world received your signal. But you must remain faithful to the signal. You cannot broadcast, I am magnetic in the morning, and switch to, why hasn't anyone texted me by afternoon? Mixed signals produce no results. The power is in consistency. What you continue to assume, you continue to emit. And what you emit, the world reflects. Let your aura become the announcement. Let your presence speak louder than your voice. Enter each space with the quiet knowledge, they feel me. Not from arrogance, but from alignment. Not because you are better, but because you are in tune with the version of yourself who already is everything you seek. If you want to be chased, you must first become the one who is worth chasing in your own mind. You must carry yourself as though the choice has already been made. The attention is already yours. And from that self-assured energy, the world will conform, not because you demanded it, but because you became the one who no longer questions it. The world is not resisting you. It is waiting for your broadcast. It is waiting for you to stop echoing your old insecurities and begin transmitting your chosen identity. That identity is not fiction, it is design. You are the architect of your aura. Every thought is a brick, every belief a beam, every assumption a door. Build it carefully, intentionally, and consistently, and then watch as they come to you, not by chance, but by law. They do not chase because of what they see. They chase because of what they feel. And what they feel is the echo of your own vibration. It is a strange habit of man to believe that what is desired must be pursued. This chasing mindset is embedded deeply into the conditioning of the world. From an early age, you are told that you must run after love, approval, attention, that these things are separate from you and must be obtained through effort or merit. But the moment you chase something, you declare with your entire being that you do not have it. And the law is always listening. What you are being in consciousness, you are becoming in experience. To chase is to confess lack. And what is confessed inwardly is always confirmed outwardly. You must reverse the chase. That is the beginning of true power. It is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is not pretending to be superior. It is understanding that there is no separation between you and what you desire. The only reason something seems to run from you is because you are running toward it. Stop moving, and the object begins to move in your direction. For you are the magnetic center of your own world, and your stillness and assumption causes all things to orbit around you. There is a rhythm to this universe, and that rhythm is not effort, it is embodiment. When you embody the version of yourself that is already admired, already loved, already seen, you move from a state of need to a state of being, and in this being, you reverse the polarity. You no longer send out the signal of desperation, you emit the frequency of fulfillment. This frequency is what causes others to shift toward you, as if drawn by an invisible thread. To reverse the chase is to rest in the assumption that there is nothing to pursue. All that is yours is seeking you, because you have already received it in consciousness. It is not coming, it has arrived. And your only task is to match the inner condition to that truth. You become the flame, and the moths must come. You become the star, and the gaze of the world lifts in your direction. You are not moving forward, you are becoming still. This stillness is not inactivity, it is not passivity, it is power in its highest form. It is the quiet certainty that says, I no longer need to chase because I already am. The mind may rebel against this idea. It will argue, but I see no evidence, no one has called, no one has shown up. And yet, this is the test. Will you continue to believe in what is seen, or will you finally surrender to the unseen, knowing that what is felt as real will one day become visible? You do not reverse the chase by forcing people to follow. You reverse the chase by becoming so complete within yourself that they have no choice but to respond to your energy. When you stop needing anyone, everyone becomes curious. When you stop asking for attention, the universe begins to shine its light on you because you are finally vibrating with the truth of your own worth. There is a sacred moment in the heart when you realize you have always been what you were chasing. You wanted them to see you because you were not yet seeing yourself. You wanted them to chase you because you were still running from your own identity. But the moment you turn inward and embrace the truth that you are the source, not the seeker, everything begins to unfold in your favor. The reversal of energy is instant the moment you stop searching and start selecting. You select the state of being desired. You select the state of being valued. You select the state of being enough. And this selection, though silent, carries the voice of creation itself. It speaks to the world without a word. People begin to notice, not because you change your strategy, but because you change your state. I remember clearly when I first practiced this, I was drawn to someone who seemed distant, aloof, unreachable. My instinct was to chase, to initiate, to prove, to impress. But something in me knew that this energy would only reinforce the distance. So I stopped, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of understanding. I entered the state of being chosen. I walked, breathed, and spoke as one who was already enough, already remembered, already longed for. I did not reach out. I reached inward, and within days, the dynamic changed. Contact was made, affection was shown. The one I once chased now moved toward me, not because I demanded it, but because I had become it. This is how it works. The outer is always echoing the inner. You do not chase love. You become the vibration of love. You do not chase admiration. You become the embodiment of one who is admired. When you occupy the state long enough, others feel it. They feel the shift, though they cannot explain it. They begin to see you differently, not because you altered your appearance, but because you finally stood still in your power. You must understand this. Every time you run after something, you teach it to run from you. Every time you stand still in the knowing that it is already yours, you teach it to return. The reversal happens not when the world changes, but when you stop responding to lack and start creating from fulfillment. This reversal is the essence of attraction. It is the shift from external to internal authority. You no longer ask, do they want me? You declare, of course they do. You no longer wonder, will they notice? You assume they already have. And in this assumption, the laws of reality rearrange themselves in your favor. You were never meant to beg for attention. You were meant to awaken to the truth that your being is enough, that your very breath carries beauty, that your energy, when aligned, becomes a beacon. So stop running, stop pleading, stop chasing, and stand, and in your stillness they will come. There is a light within you that does not come from the sun or the moon. It is not installed by compliments, recognition, or approval. It is not switched on by another's affection or dimmed by their rejection. This light comes from one place only, your assumption of self. You glow from within when you finally believe you are enough, not in theory, not in vague spiritual sentiment, but in feeling, in vibration, in breath. That glow is the evidence that you have stopped seeking and started remembering. It is a quiet glow, not theatrical, not desperate. It is the warmth that rises from knowing I am. The one who glows does not shout. They do not posture. They carry no need to convince, for the glow is already doing the speaking. The world feels it before it sees it. It moves through rooms without noise and leaves its echo in the minds of those who encounter it. Your glow is not found in the mirror. It is found in your concept of self. And the moment you choose to dwell in the concept that you are radiant, magnetic, whole, your body responds, your walk changes, your voice softens, your energy thickens. People turn their heads without knowing why, because it is not your appearance that called to them, but your vibration. The inner image now sculpting the outer world. To glow from within is to stop editing yourself in hopes of being loved. It is to release the impulse to become what others might prefer, and instead step into the version of you that prefers yourself, that loves without justification, that values without proof, that praises without condition. When you praise yourself from the silence of your being, not to gain, but because you already are, you rise into true beauty, a beauty that does not need to be recognized in order to exist. You must begin by revising your self-talk. The words you whisper to yourself in idle hours are either lighting your inner lamp or dimming it. If you say, "No one sees me," your glow recedes. If you say, "I am the one they feel," your radiance expands. The glow is not physical, it is the product of alignment. When your thoughts, feelings, and imagination align with your ideal self, your energy begins to illuminate space. That space is felt. And those in your presence will say, "There's something about you," though they cannot name it. There was a period in my life when I felt dull, invisible. I tried changing my clothes, my style, even my manner of speaking, but none of it produced the inner shift. I was decorating a shell without changing its core. Then I understood. I had forgotten the truth, that my glow was never external. It could not be purchased. It could not be fabricated. It had to be remembered. I returned to the silence, and I closed my eyes, and I began to imagine myself, not as I had been treated, not as I had been seen, but as I truly desired to feel. I imagined walking as one who lit up every place I entered. I imagined feeling loved without explanation, desired without effort, admired without noise. And slowly I felt a current move through me, not all at once, but certainly, and that feeling, carried long enough, became a new identity. When you glow from within, the world shifts in response. People become warmer toward you. They remember your name. They lean in. They invite you closer, not because you performed, but because you radiated. And they cannot help but orbit around that warmth. That warmth is created not by perfection, but by permission. The permission you give yourself to shine without reason. Do not wait for someone to tell you you're beautiful. That is the way of shadows. Wait and you remain cold. Declare it first. Feel it first. Live from it first. I am radiant. I am beautiful. I glow. And let that glow soften your voice. Let it anchor your presence. Let it inform your decisions. Speak not to be heard, but to release truth. Walk not to be seen, but to express light. That is what it means to glow from within. And when you do, the chase begins. Not because you lured them, but because your glow awakened something in them. You reminded them of something ancient and rare, someone who does not need to be chased to feel whole, someone who has already arrived. That kind of person is irresistible. They are not following, they are being followed. It is not about adopting feminine or masculine traits, it is about becoming coherent. When your inner world aligns with your chosen identity, your field stabilizes, you become magnetic regardless of gender. A man rooted in self-assurance glows just as a woman anchored in self-love radiates. It is not the performance of gender, it is the embodiment of presence. And presence, when felt, compels. It whispers in ways speech cannot. It draws people closer because it asks for nothing. This is the glow of being, the glow that arises when you stop asking life to show you your worth and begin showing it to yourself. Each thought you choose is a match. Each assumption you hold is a flame. Each time you return to the feeling of your own value, you fan that flame into fire. And soon, the light touches everything. You may be in a room full of people, none of whom acknowledge you. Do not shrink, do not fade. Return to your glow. Breathe in your chosen self-concept and radiate, not to prove, not to win, but to be. For the one who knows they are light cannot be hidden for long. They are found, always. They'll chase you, not because you wanted them to, but because you no longer needed them to. And in that freedom, your glow became undeniable. Everything you say, whether aloud or in the silence of your heart, shapes the world around you. Words are not passive. They are not merely sounds or fleeting thoughts. Words are living seeds. Each word carries a vibration, and that vibration is creative. The life you now experience is not a result of what others have said about you. It is the direct echo of what you have declared about yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously. You are always speaking something into existence. The question is not whether you speak. The question is what you are choosing to declare. You must become deliberate with your inner conversations, because the mind never rests. Even in stillness, you are talking, whispering ideas, repeating beliefs, rehearsing outcomes. And these inner repetitions are like commands given to the world. The universe listens not to the volume of your voice, but to the tone of your belief. If you say, "They don't notice me," you have issued an order. If you say, "They're obsessed with me," you have issued another. And the world obeys, both with equal faithfulness. To speak the world into obsession is not to manipulate others. It is to rewire your inner narrative so completely that others begin to reflect the story you've told. They cannot help it, because they are actors playing the roles you've written in the quiet corners of your imagination. If you cast them as distant, they must be distant. If you cast them as desiring you, they have no choice but to feel it. Begin this practice now. Choose a sentence, a short, potent declaration, and repeat it not like a chant, but like a truth. Let the phrase rise not from lack, but from presence. They think of me constantly. They crave my energy. They feel me even when I'm gone. Let these statements not be mere wishes, but embodied affirmations. Speak them internally as though they are already true. And as you do, feel how your chest warms, how your breath deepens, how your posture subtly shifts. This is the beginning of creative power. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to speak. Speak first. Speak boldly. Speak clearly. Declare what is, not what was. If you've been rejected, abandoned, ignored, that was an old chapter. The moment you open your mouth or your inner mind and affirm something new, you turn the page. You do not need to explain or justify the shift. Reality does not require apology. It only requires assumption. When you speak from the end, your words carry weight. They are no longer hopeful. They are creative. They are alive. They admire me deeply. They watch everything I do. They feel pulled to me like a magnet. Say it when no one is watching. Say it when the mirror reflects nothing but silence. Say it until the feeling catches up with the words. Then say it more. Soon, these statements will feel natural. They will cease to feel like affirmations and begin to feel like identity. And once they become your inner identity, the outer must reflect them. People will begin to speak back to you in the language you first spoke to yourself. They will mirror your new concept. They will echo what you planted. This is why you must guard your words, not out of fear, but out of reverence. You would not plant thorns and expect roses, nor should you speak doubt and expect confidence. Speak loss and expect gain. Speak rejection and expect desire. Train your tongue and your thought. Let no sentence escape your mouth that you do not wish to see realized in your world. Let no inner dialogue remain unchallenged if it contradicts your chosen identity. You are not powerless in silence. The strongest shifts begin without sound. The conversation you have in your mind as you walk, as you bathe, as you lie in bed, these are the most potent spells. You are always incanting something. Are you casting shadows or are you invoking light? Speak your way into being desired, not someday, now. Declare it in the morning, reinforce it at noon, confirm it before sleep. They're thinking about me right now. They're wondering why they feel so pulled. I linger in their mind and feel it. Not forcefully, lovingly. It is not the many words that work, it is the felt word. One deeply felt statement carries more power than 1,000 repetitions said without belief. So dwell on the phrase that moves your being, that stirs your chest, that feels like fire and silk at the same time. Find the sentence that embodies your chosen self and let it become the rhythm of your day. I remember once being forgotten by someone I thought I mattered to. I replayed the silence, the absence, the neglect, and all I did was create more of it. Then I stopped. I crafted a new phrase. They can't stop thinking about me. I whispered it throughout the day. I said it with no evidence, but I felt it. Not because I was trying to trick the world, but because I was claiming my power. Within a short time, the calls began. The messages came. They didn't know why, but I did. I had spoken the world into obsession. You can do the same. You do not need their cooperation. You do not need their agreement. You only need your decision. Decide now to speak from the version of you that is already chaste, already remembered, already adored, and the world will catch up to your conversation. They will begin to say what you once only dared to think. There is a state in consciousness where everything you desire already exists. It is not in the future, it is not on the way, it is not becoming, it is already. That state is what you must occupy. Not visit, not admire from a distance, not long for, but live from. The final state is not something you chase, it is something you embody. And once you do, all of life begins to conform itself to match your posture. To occupy the final state is to refuse to define yourself by what your senses report. You do not identify with the absence of your desire. You identify with its fulfillment. When you desire to be chaste, to be loved, to be remembered, The only reason it feels far is because you have placed your awareness in a state where it is not yet true. Shift your awareness and the desire becomes present. Shift your attention and you shift your world. The final state is the state in which your wish is already fulfilled. You are no longer asking. You are no longer hoping. You are being. You have moved from longing to possession. The feeling has changed. The inner talk has changed. The posture of your spirit has changed. And this change, though invisible, becomes the signal that moves the world. If you wish to be the one they chase, you must first become the one who is no longer looking back. You must walk in the world as if you are already held in their attention, already filling their thoughts, already living rent-free in their imagination. The one who occupies the final state does not wonder when it will happen. They live as though it has already happened. And that living becomes a magnet. That assumption becomes law. There is no effort in the final state, only rest. You do not need to repeat the desire. You do not need to monitor the mirror. You simply hold the vibration of done. And that vibration speaks louder than action. It influences without motion. It draws people in without pursuit. When you accept a state as final, you stop testing it. You stop looking for signs. You stop asking for confirmation. You do not question whether they miss you. You assume it. You do not ask whether they desire you. You walk as if their desire is a given. And by walking in that certainty, you cause them to behave accordingly, though they may not understand why. You have been taught to work toward your desires, but this teaching ignores the truth that creation is finished. Every state of consciousness already exists. You are not creating something new. You are selecting something eternal. And once selected, you must remain faithful to it. The reason desires seem delayed is because the mind continues to vacillate between states. One moment you are in the final state. The next you are back in lack. One moment you feel loved. The next you question your worth. This movement creates spiritual static, and the world reflects the static. The moment you stabilize, the world stabilizes. You must become loyal to your chosen identity, even when the senses deny it, especially when they do, because this loyalty proves your understanding. You are not reacting to appearances. You are generating them. And this understanding is what separates the awakened from the reactive. Occupy the final state by rehearsing the feeling of being, not doing, being. What would it feel like to know that you are the one they dream about, the one they look for in crowds, the one they regret losing? Move into that feeling. Let it spread across your body. Let it soak into your bones. Let it become the most natural thing in the world. Your job is not to change them. Your job is to change your state. And once you do, you will find that they no longer behave the way they used to. They begin to speak differently, act differently, appear in new ways. Not because they changed, but because you did. The version of them you now experience is the reflection of the version of you that you now inhabit. There was a time when I doubted this. I thought that perhaps certain things could not shift. Certain people would not respond. I remained loyal to the old version of myself, the one who wondered, who hoped, who felt undesired. And so the world gave me more of the same. But the moment I moved internally into the state of being wanted, the change was immediate. Not always dramatic, but certainly real. I no longer felt the need to reach out, to explain, to perform. I knew, and that knowing became presence. That presence became power. The final state does not need to announce itself. It does not seek validation. It is still, it is settled, it is done. And in this spiritual rest, you find the freedom that chasing never gave you. You are no longer grasping for a future, you are living from it. This is the great secret. To occupy the end is to activate the bridge. Life begins to move in subtle and overt ways to bring you what you are already experiencing within. People call it coincidence, they call it alignment, they call it fate, but it is none of those things. It is the law obeying your assumption, the mirror catching up to your identity. You must become the one who no longer needs to be chased, because you are already chosen. And once you feel that reality, it must be echoed. The words will come, the looks will come, the messages, the doors, the invitations, but you will not be surprised. You will not feel overwhelmed because you were already living from the end. You expected it, not with tension, but with ease. They will chase you, not because you convinced them to, but because you became the version of you they were always drawn to. And in that becoming, the desire was fulfilled. Now you understand. It was never about effort. It was never about waiting for them to see you, to want you, to chase you. It was always about you, your assumptions, your states, your words, your inner conversations. You did not need to convince the world to shift. You only needed to assume that it already had, that you had already become the one who is chased, the one they remember, the one they can't help but be drawn toward. The entire chase is a mirror. It reflects the energy you give yourself. You became magnetic the moment you stopped reaching. You became unforgettable the moment you stopped questioning. You turned the tables not with manipulation but with imagination. You chose yourself. You spoke from the end. You glowed from within. And in that vibration, the world could not resist echoing your decision. You now carry the understanding that to attract is not to chase, it is to assume. It is to rest. It is to occupy the final state of being wanted without needing to ask. You have spoken the world into obsession, not by force, but by faith. And the ones you once longed for will now move toward you with an energy they don't understand, because you understood it first. Do not fall back into the old self. Do not wait for proof. Walk as if you are the proof. Be so saturated in the end that the beginning fades from memory. You are not here to try. You are here to remember what's already yours. The love, the attention, the desire. It all flows from one place, your imagination. Guard it, fill it, live in it. And they'll chase you, not because you demanded it, but because you finally knew you never had to. It was always you. It has always been done.